This is, I don't know if I've already shown the other chart. This is a secondary chart. This is a new charting program I'm using, which I really like, but it is a bit complex. The stockholders meeting of Q1 2022. And CEO Dan had a quick quote there that I thought was really good. Where we have a right to win. Okay, so I think that's a good way to look at it. And I think they have a right to win in this fleet sector. Anyway, um, we've got the next meeting, I believe, is August 17th. Let's just go over what they did at this meeting. I had a video on it. I just want to go over some details here. Some new directors. This is Angie, who was interim CEO at Lordstown. Uh, she's from Foxconn, was with Burns pre Foxconn. She was actually there when the Foxconn deal was going to go through. And she's with New V, which is in a partnership with Stone Peak, I believe, and they're going to offer electric fleets as a service with financing. They go in, install everything, sell all the trucks, so forth. And of course, now she's also on the board at Lordstown. Then we've got a new board member, Laura Sove, I believe, former Icon Automotive Group, obviously an acolyte of CEO Navaji, and the Icon Automotive Group. Say no more. Now, this is an interesting board member here, Joe Anderson. GM Auto heavyweight, extensive M&A experience. Now, here's the thing. He is ex-military. Ex-military. So when we're looking at government sales, this guy served in the military, I'm sure. Being at GM, he's maintained military contacts. So these are three very strong. We've got a new V interlocking directorship. We've got Icon Automotive representative, GM, also military government sales. And now we have Dan Niavaji, who is also chairman of the board. And I think they're making all the right moves. I have right here, making all the right moves. Okay, so I think they are. The cash raise, stock. They're asking for 150 million new shares. Now, this is important. 7 million are reserved for executive compensation. So, they got 7 million shares to hand out. I think Steve Burns is still the largest individual stockholder. And I think 40% of this stock is held by retail. Might be 43%. And Dan's quote during the call was, authorized, not issued, will depend how much and when issued on macro events. So he wants to have that locked and loaded so that when, for example, the start of commercial production, the first sale, the first fleet order, whatever it may be, that's going to trigger a rebound in the stock price, perhaps an overall market rebound. We're going to go over that in a little bit. He wants to be able to move on that. Now, we have to go over. Now, this is all moving very fast. I think we forget about this. Lordstown has a new structure. It's got a variable cost model. And there's also cost reductions that come from this, the OPEX of the plant. So the next earnings call, we'll expand on this. We can look forward to a lower cash burn. So what was indicated in this call, $14 million savings. So that's 76 versus 90 million that we know from this call. And there's likely more reductions as we get the endurance ready for commercial production when all these testing and certification costs wind down. So at the end of the year, we can now say there's a right now, there's a $28 million cash burn reduction. So what was needed was 150. Does that mean the cash rate is now 122 million? We don't know. But I'm just saying these cuts are coming. I think there's going to be more in the August 17th meeting, and will reductions cut this further? I believe so. It says unknown but possible. Need to hear from the CFO on the next earnings call. By the way, they're redoing this vote because the last vote there was a nuisance lawsuit filed on the procedural matter, and it's an attempt, in my opinion, to stall by the evil forces to stall the cash program of Lordstown Motors. But anyway, it's going through. I think the point I'm trying to make here, I'm blabbering on and on. I think they need even less capital now. But if they raise 150 million in more the better, right? But anyway, it lowers the hurdle they have to reach. So this is 122 million now. Who knows? Maybe they can even cut more off of that. That would allow them to get more trucks out and give them some elbow room to operate without a stock sale, and get production out. So anyway, we're going to have to hear about all this on the next earning call. So we have potential revenue this year, and the joint vehicle development. Now, the quote during the call was LMC will lead all programs, probably start by the end of the year. Priorities: the Endurance start of commercial production, possibly from 6/26/22 from an internal memo, perhaps as soon as July 18th. Okay. Now, MIH joint ventures. Now, they said that these may start in Q4 of this year. As of 6/26, in a news interview, Hightower has stated we have already started preliminary work. So they are already underway, starting joint venture vehicle projects. I do believe they are going to generate fees from the work they do on these projects, and that will also add to their cash position. So, two new things here. Maybe the 18th of next month, we're going to have a truck out, and Hightower, we have already started preliminary work on the joint venture vehicle. So that's a pretty big deal. Portion of the 100 million JV will fund new fleet vehicle development. Okay. Says expect to start MIH projects in 6 months minimum, 8 months maximum. So they put the 6-month figure in here, and Hightower says we already started preliminary work. It may be quicker than that, but now Hightower has said in the past 2 years to develop a product from scratch, but the starting point is important. Does this mean LMC will generate revenue from fees paid by the MIH JV? In my opinion, yes, they will. I think one likely goal of the joint venture is funding Lordstown Motors. And I do believe that they are probably already started preliminary work right here. I believe that they're probably already generating fees. Now, on the Endurance sales, although it has been stated that the initial sales of the Endurance will not be profitable, revenue will be created. There will be cash on the balance sheet from fleet sales, and there will be cash from carbon credits. GM, as part of the sales deal, are buying these credits, I believe, at a 25% discount. But for whatever trucks they sell, they're going to have carbon credits, and I believe GM has agreed to buy all they make. I'm not sure. You guys can look that up. But in any case, there's going to be two revenue sources here: cash from fleet sales, cash from carbon credits. They said they do not believe it's going to be profitable until they retool to the hard dies and so forth. So balance sheet entry, just the same two revenue sources to propel valuation and potential stock capital raise. So in other words, they're going to have revenues. A big deal. Okay. The MIH joint venture agreement. Now, I had mentioned this in one of my previous videos. There is an emergency funding clause in the joint venture agreement, and it kind of says to cover defaults on indebtedness to third parties working with the joint venture members, and it can be loaned by either member to either of the other members, but does not have to be, but could be. A lot of lawyer speak there. Again, this I believe can be, and I'm not a lawyer, so you're gonna have to look this up yourself. But this I think can also be a escape hatch for Lordstown to have again more elbow room to operate without doing a full-blown capital raise. So we've got this. We've got the joint venture income, and we've got some sales, which are bookkeeping entry, but nevertheless. So here's my summary. Appears now the cash needed by the engineer is 122 million. I think the point I'm making here is their expenses are going to go down. I think the next earnings call is going to be very interesting to see how much their quarterly cash burn has been cut, or with the start of production of the Endurance has increased. I think it's going to be reallocated. In any case, I think they're going to, the point again is elbow room. Okay. So the sources of the stock funding, well, they could issue stock, but a favorable macro market is necessary. Now, perhaps the Endurance launch will be enough. It may be enough. Again, I have the joint venture fees. They're a source. Endurance sales. Bookkeeping entry, but this is important to the stock market that they show revenue and they have a product. I mean, it's a proof of concept. Again, the carbon credits, limited production, but still real income, going to show up on the balance sheet. I have internal MIH JV loan, emergency loan. Unclear, not a lawyer, but also a possibility. Other CEO efforts, what will he do? Again, I have mentioned time and time again, convertible bonds. They also have the revolving, I think they have two more tranches in the revolving cash purchase deal they made with, was it SIP? They have used one. They have two more. So the point I'm making here is if they can't issue the stock, if the market isn't favorable, I believe they have some wiggle room to still get the truck off. Okay. The Endurance launch will be the start of the Foxconn pivot to BEVs. Now, I've gone over this issue in another video with a Taiwan capital markets guy who said that they need to see that for the Hanhai stock. I just checked Hanhai stock. Hanhai stock is flat. And this analyst in Taiwan said it's going to remain stock flat until they see the product. So I believe that this Endurance is going to be launched. Hell or high water, damn the torpedoes. Foxconn is going to make sure it happens. Neovaji is going to make sure it happens. I think Hightower already has everything in under control. And the CFO, experienced guy, let's see what he can do. Anyway, they've got wiggle room all the way around. And so Hanai shareholders want to see financial proof of concepts on this corporate BIV manufacturing pivot, and they want to see MIH product launches. They're going to get both. They're going to get a proof of concept with the Lordstown Endurance, and they're also going to see that the two there are, I believe, two projects underway, according to Hightower, already started preliminary work on them using the MIH product skateboard. And I do believe, Hightower, to me, all but said the MIH platform is going to use hub motors. Okay? And Foxconn is running the hub motor manufacturing line at Lordstown. Lordstown still owns it. I think that's the case. And I just want to add here, in Reddit, on Reddit, which is the pit toilet of the internet, there's rumors. Do what you will with that. I would not base any purchases on that talk, but that is what the rumors are. And I'm not a lawyer, not an engineer, not a financial advisor. Do your own DD. RIDE is a high-risk investment, can result in catastrophic losses. Consult a professional. Okay, that's the disclaimer. I have down here the probability of success of the launch of the Endurance is very high. I think it's an inevitability unless there is some black swan that comes into play. And since it's gone through 2 series of testing, homologation, and certification now, this is the Endurance Point 2. I think they've got this thing all figured out. And I expect it to be a very strong technical launch as well. I don't think there's going to be any recalls. Dilution may not happen right away due to macro issues. And I have down here a procedural lawsuit filed to slow them down, probably by the, shorters. There is going to be a dilution. I did another video. You can look at my catalog of videos. I updated my price with the full dilution in place. And I don't think it's going to be the 150 million dilution, but it's possible it will be. And I think part of that new stock issuance, we've got 70 million shares. So I think part of the deal with these guys coming on board was that, because, not every one of the new people have super large positions in Lordstown. I think everything's could be based on the successful launch of the Endurance as far as options and so forth. But we'll see on that. That's just my thoughts. Anyway, now I expect LMC valuation to surge with the successful launch of the Endurance. The thing is, are we going to get favorable press? Probably not. But the numbers are going to show up on the balance sheet, and we're going to get to hear from customers. And I am sure that Lordstown Motors has worked this out so that the automotive press is not going to be reviewing this truck, because let's face it, it's not going to be a successful review. Okay. And LMC is not running a big ad campaign. They're not supporting any of the business press with ad revenue. So I think this is going to be testimonials from fleet owners, all inside baseball. I'm sure that Lordstown will do a lot of work on the web with this. And of course, Joe Burrow, I'm sure, is going to be appearing on web related stuff. And you know what? When the NFL launches, who knows? Maybe we'll have a Burrow commercial during a football game. I think that black Endurance, which appeared in the last video, that Easter egg, great looking truck. They can go from pure fleet to consumer vehicles with a minor software change, taking the electronic governor off the truck, limiting the speed to 80 miles an hour for insurance purposes for fleet members. So don't forget that. I'm sure they're going to do an initial release to fleet members, to fleet customers. They said they're going to pinpoint this with 4 or 5 customers. The thing is, once they get the fleets out, once they know the truck's running well, once they have the reviews in hands, they can switch this over to online sales of the Endurance. And like I said, all it's going to take is a software change that limits the top speed of the vehicle. Who knows? They might have already put that in there, and it may be a over-the-air update to remove that. That's probably what it is. Anyway, so bullish on this. In my opinion, there's some new information here, guys. You need to go through this, maybe read this, because there's a lot of different stuff going on here where we have a right to win. They have a right to win. In fleets, certainly. And I've done a couple demand videos on fleets. Let me tell you, I had a question from a viewer. How many units do you think they're going to sell? As many as Foxconn can produce and as many as Lordstown can fund. Because there is pent-up demand. If Ford, the only real competitor, I do not believe fleets are going to go. I mean, some fleets are going to go with the Cybertruck maybe, but Ford's only going to, if they split their allocation, they're going to do half consumers for the Pro model, half fleets. They're only going to have 10,000 trucks on the market. The demand is much higher than that. Anyway, that's it, guys. Very positive. I think that just in closing, I'm just going to say that, this is all very imminent. I certainly do not feel that the business press has any idea what's going on here. And it's going to be shocking to a lot of people when this all happens. All right, this is Mxux. Good luck in the market. Okay, this is Mxux. This is the NASDAQ 100 off the NASDAQ website, June 27th. I just wanted to give you a quick look at this. Tom Lee has said to watch this index for a soft landing, meaning watch for gains here. He also mentioned the Chinese stock market. I'm not going to go through the Chinese market because I'm not confident in some of the figures I get there. Anyway, we're just going to stick with this. Now, this is a 5-day. As you can see, we had an upward trend and it's down. And if we go to a 1-month pattern here, you can see that we are regaining some of the stuff we lost here. And it looks like we had a bit of a good start here, and we lost a little steam in this last day. I'm going to go through a secondary chart here in a minute. We've got noticeable rising volume and a noticeable rising price. Okay. Now we have a rising price here with, relatively flat volume, dead cat bounce. Okay. So you go and you're running up, straight back down, dead cat bounce. Usually, when you have rising volume and rising price, this is a more sustainable bounce. Now, this is macro, and this has to do with the stock issuance by RIDE. But I think this is just a macro indicator that's positive. That's part of the story with this report. So that also is positive. And I think I'll show the NASDAQ chart next. But anyway, this is just a footnote to the presentation here on macro environment looking better. I think this is a positive sign here. If we get a few more of these days, Tom Lee has said that he feels there's a good chance of a soft landing. And as I mentioned before, he said to watch the NASDAQ. Okay, Mxux. Thank you.